I had it in my truck. I have all of my like boots and hats and stuff.
Let's see, that's working. Each one of these behaves differently. That's crazy.
SCH.
Sorry guys, I'm sweating already from running around, getting stuff ready for you. Woo! It's coming though. It's coming. Let's see, how are we gonna do this? Okay. If you're in here and you haven't picked a group yet, you can get your phones out and pick your group. Otherwise, I'm gonna tell you today, the only time I wanna see your phone is if you're doing a virtual recording for your virtual partner. Because I'm also gonna have people assisting me recording. And I just gonna be short and sweet so I don't drag it out, which tends to make people mad. But when we go to these labs, there's way too many of you for me. And I really gonna have you dialed in. We're gonna have fun, but I don't see no phones or I'm throwing you out of the class. I'm gonna give you 3 chances and then I'm not messing around, you're out. Now you can lose your participation points in the room here, but I've been through this enough here with this many. We normally have 5 people helping half the size of you guys. So that frustrates me because I want to do a good job for you, and that's going to take you guys. Now, you can have your phone out if you're going to volunteer to record measurements and things for your virtual partners, which we're going to have to work all that out. And I've got a bunch of handouts. Today is the case where we're going to have, and I'm just going to use the announcement I made. And I apologize for being a little curt about that, but I really don't have much choice. Especially trying to help out all the COVID folks. But look, we're going to have 2 groups because when we have enough equipment that we can handle, 4 of you in a group, and we're going to be combining group A1 and B1, and that's where we're going to be today because we do have 8 sets of stuff. We have 8 lockers, which you're going to have to take pride in this semester because we're also, we're going to have you when we get out big equipment or things that we're nervous about touching. I negotiated getting a bunch of cleaning solutions for you all to use on those. You're going to clean them when you get there. You're going to clean them when you're done. And yes, that's kind of the crew chief. And at this point, there will be some times where the other person comes in with you. But today, whoever is the crew chief, and I realize that you're going to have to talk a little bit here in a little after we go through what's going to happen, because you knew you were going to be part of a 4-person group, but we probably should have, if we were doing things right, I'd have you sitting in those groups right now. But it's sort of too late for that, so we're gonna live with it. But today is going to be the AB combined group. So when I start to head down to the lab after I explain this, I want those you get with your 1s and 1s, and whoever's the crew chief today is going to come down to the lab, and that's the only person going in there because you guys know it's tight quarters. And we'll get you the equipment, go out. I'm going to show you where we're going to go. So that's kind of the nasty rules for the day to make this stuff work. And we always have trouble getting through this because also it's normally would be a 4-hour lab would be appropriate. But we're getting these things done in 2. And if we don't, then you'll have to come back and schedule other time to do it outside of class. All right, so I'm going to leave this up. You guys will know what you've signed up for. Okay, again, I got all kinds of handouts. Now, I'm not going to, especially this semester, because you pointed out there, it's like I'm passing around these attendance sheets and we're passing around COVID. But the labs are going to be up, and someone in your group will need to print it out and bring it. Now today, I've printed out 8 of them so that every group has it, and there's pieces in there that you can keep and share. Otherwise, it's all up on Blackboard. And that's going to keep us from exchanging things any more than we have to. Now, I've created a few new things. For instance, you can get to all of the lab guidelines by going to course info, and you'll see down here I've got lab guidelines. And if you click there, there's lab guidelines, field book setup. That's one way to get there. And I think, can't remember who gave me this idea last year, but then they said, well, why don't you, maybe even though they're in the weekly format, some people like to click on what would be content, and that would be the labs. So you can actually click on labs, and new thing to me, so I'll have to keep up with it. But you can get to the lab guidelines there, and then today's lab pacing. So multiple ways to get there. Let's just talk about, probably the first thing you kind of want to know is where are we going? Most of you may know already. Here we go. Okay, so we're going to go, there's the football field, parking lot 24, south of football. And then there's this, did anybody work on the community garden out there? I thought it was our construction club did it.
They canceled it or postponed it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, somebody, I've been bragging on you guys all summer because there's a community strawberry thing and all kinds of really nice stuff out there. So somebody did it, or parts of it, and it's pretty nice.
We were supposed to build something. Yeah, that was already there. We were supposed to build a greenhouse,
Oh, okay.
I think.
Okay. Yeah. That got boo-booed with COVID.
Yeah.
Yeah, love it. Well, anyway, they got a nice thing out there to get started with, though, so that'll be nice when we get there. And then you'll have a greenhouse to survey around, which is okay, because there's always obstacles. Anyway, we got a really nice setup here. And I'll put this on in case somebody's trying to read this a little bit. I'll talk about this here in a minute and all that crap. But we got 8 lots out there. And yes, if you're a 1 or 2 or 3, whatever, that's your lot. So you're going to be responsible for it this semester. Today is going to be a little rough because it's our first time out there. There are pins along the front here in the ground about 15 or 20 feet in. And they're hard to find the first time, but I'm going to show you how you do that. You might be able to find them if you look hard. Otherwise, I've got not a metal detector, but a magnetic locator. And that helps us find them. But sometimes you don't have that, so that's why it's always nice to, you'll hear us talk about 3-point ties, where you show how far those pins are from other objects, and you can find them later. It works out pretty nice. Now, there are not pins on the back side because we're going to put nails on that side. And we're going to put them down nice because facilities doesn't want us leaving any flagging or anything up, and they do become a little hard to find, but we pull the grass out from around them and we can usually keep them, because ultimately, and now today we're only going to put 1 of them out there, but we'll have these pins on the front of each corner, and then we can go back. It doesn't matter which one you want, but you can go back and we'll put a nail in the ground there, and then we won't have to put another one yet until we go traversing later. Now, I'm going to just tell you to take a look at these. I'm handing these out again, first time here, but this is kind of the policies and procedures. I didn't make them up. I'm just going by them. I'm not going to read those to you because basically safety is the paramount thing. Since we haven't really dealt with it too much, we'll be a little forgiving today. We'll kind of look at things. If it's not really acceptable, then we'll talk about it. Also being acceptable is, we're one of the few departments really trying to do labs, which is why I'm kind of barking at you this morning, because we really want to be successful at it. We will not be able to social distance. You will unfortunately have to keep your masks on. And I'm either going to, if I come up close to you, I'm going to put my mask on because this thing is not appropriate for within your personal space. I'm going to try not to get in your personal space. I like to come up and put my arm around you and give you encouragement and chew you out, all that good stuff. But I'm going to try to stay back, which sucks. And because this really isn't protecting me, it's protecting me from spitting on you guys. But so when I get close, remind me to put my mask on. It's going to be hot and sweaty. It stinks. Look, I'm going to get where I can't breathe, so just walk away from your group and get your masks on, right? And today I have my cell phone because I am going to be recording, and I think this is the fellow that's coming to help us video, but I'm not going to take that right now because I'm in class, but you're probably looking for us already to come video. So anything you can do to help them when they're videoing, and I got to figure out who's kind of in a virtual group, or going to have virtual people, because if you can take any kind of pictures of your measurements, things that's going to really help them understand what they're doing, because they're really not going to get to do it. I mean, I'm going to have some makeups and things, but some of them are probably not worth a real makeup. Now, using total stations is. There are some hints on things. I don't have the best handwriting, as you guys have already seen, but technically it's nice to make them look good. Your field books, so like if you can get those set up right now before you go down, this is the best place to do it, because it's not that easy to do out there in the field. And of course, ours first one. So what you've got is when you open that up, you know, you can put your name on it, all that good stuff. As far as I'm concerned, you can take care of that part later. The biggest thing I want you to do is start your table of contents. And with a field book, you put a page number on every page. Now I'll let you decide if you want the title page to be 0 or 1. I don't care. Usually don't reference the title page with the number. It's usually like an I or something, but I just kind of call it 0. And then wherever you start your first lab, if that starts on page 1. Now, I will also tell you that I don't care. You'll notice there's a 4 and a 5. So there's a page on the left and the right. If you want to do that, that's awesome. The minimum survey procedure is that you're always pretty much working on, that's really one page. When you open up the book, it's left-hand side of the page, right-hand side of the page, even though it's 2 pages. So you can put 1 down there on the bottom, the top, however you want to do it's fine. I swear I'm not picky about it as long as it's got something.
So would this be considered lab 2 or lab
This
1?
is 1, I think. Lab 1. Lab 1. Did I do another lab?
No, I just.
Sometimes I get crazy with my numbers.
Yeah, I just did.
Yep. Again, I'm going to hand you these so you can talk about them, you know, before you, but before you turn them in, check all these things. Look, I don't care. Some surveyors are all picky, like, oh, you got to get it all right the first time. Look, you've never done this before. I don't care how many pages you mess up. It's no big deal. You've got some scribbles, you don't think it looks good, do it on the next page later. You know, we did that all the time while we were taking lunch, kind of clean things up. You want to make it decent. I know I speak like a perfectionist, but I'm just looking for excellence, and most of that is trying. So you got to try to get some of these things. I don't care about the number 3H pencil. These are things that I'll explain. Surveyors get all crazy about. You really are not supposed to erase. Now that's for legal reasons, not because surveyors are jerks. Most of us are, but it's because we care. When the lawyers come calling, you're going to erase, and then you're going to go, oops, I didn't mean to do that. I'm not going to kill you on it. I'm telling you, they're used to, the old timers. Before there were cell phones, you want to get thrown out of a class, erase in a field book. I mean, thrown out. It's crazy. And if you kicked a leg later on, when we pull out the tripads, you lost a letter grade. It's insane. So we don't do those things, but I want you to pay attention to it. Most of it's really, you know, about completeness for me and effort. Now, I do have accuracy and results up here because they used to like to grade that way. I'm going to use it as a guide. That's one where I'm a little flexible, because you're going to get some cuckoo numbers later on this semester. And that's okay, because really I'd kind of rather you make those mistakes, because if you do it perfect, you probably don't, I mean, it might have been an accident and didn't really learn anything. So making some mistakes on accuracy is okay with me as long as you try. We'll talk about some of the handling when we kind of get things out. And I'll tell you what, I'm going to need to bring that book back up for you, don't I? Because too many things up today. There we go. gonna leave that up while I check my phone for the TA that's gonna help us. Good, he's able to help, that's good. And then I'm gonna, I got printouts of this coming. So you can kind of catch that up. Now here's some things I'm okay with, like you're gonna play different roles each time. Somebody's a crew chief, somebody might be a note taker, somebody might be instrument person, whatever the case is. There's times when you need to fill out, you're gonna do things that you're gonna have to write in your field book what you did. But if you have a note taker for the day, that's fine. They can be that, keep the book, because everybody's got a role, and then you get that information later, write it down yourself, because you got to submit your own work there, right? But the raw recordings out there, you can have somebody, and yes, I know you probably wish it could be someone with nice handwriting every time, but it can't, because I'm going to be adamant that we rotate through some of this stuff, because I've seen it not work too well. And so I'm going to have these for you to look at to set these up. But the basics today is we're going to do a little quick pacing thing. You're going to lay out 100 feet. We're going to walk over to those lots. You're going to lay the tape out, and you're going to walk back and forth 3 times and get your paces right for 100, and then get the average just like the pre-lab homework stuff. The harder one is that you're going to go, and let's see, that's nicely up there. So you're going to put a nail down at the other end, and I can't remember the distance because I used to do it out here. We're going to do it over in the right place this time. You're going to have to break 100-foot tape, 1 or 2 times, whatever, because you don't want to land on 100 or 200. It needs to be something in between so you can learn how to measure that. But you're going to measure down, and we're not going to be super particular. I just want to see that you get some of the equipment out, get a feel for using it, that it has to be level, even though it's pretty level out there, but we'll get those things out. I'm going to run around as fast as I can trying to help you. Let's see, get to the next piece. Here we go. Now I'm showing 3 from A to B because you're going to measure down once, back, down again, because 3 measurements is kind of the minimum on that. And then I would like for you to, switch roles through there, so everybody gets to hold one end of the tape and maybe try to hold the plumb bob. Remember, when you measure 100 feet, we're going to have a chain pin to start with, and then you'll put it at the end of the 100 and move on. And then first thing you're going to do is ask me, like, how do I use that pin to know where I measure? Well, I'm going to show you, but you put them in sideways in the ground, and then you have to be able to tell what you think the center of the marks are over the center of that pin. Yeah, and then I will probably explain the calculations like in a video on Friday or something so you can watch it, because I only had you calculate the averages of stuff. We didn't go over this other stuff. Although after talking to Dr. Geffen, I used to kind of leave that out, but they kind of feel like we should work some of that out because it's not the most complicated statistics. We're going to just calculate the root mean square, and the basics of it is to figure out what kind of accuracy order you were able to produce. That's really it. Okay, so I normally like to blabber on about all these things, but again, the first one's going to be a little rough. So, hang with me. But that's the main 2 things. We're going to pace, get your pace figured out. We're going to measure those lines a couple times, 3 times, and hopefully get through this. Bulk of today is getting into your groups, figuring out who that is, who's crew chief for today, where the lockers are, where the things are. So it's going to be a little bit of a struggle, but it really won't take us more than an hour to get all that stuff done out there. So again, please help me out to stay on track. I want to have a successful lab, so be able to make it worthwhile for you. Because some people get it anyway. I'm not going to elaborate. That's silly. Are there any big questions before we start heading out there? Because what I'm going to do is I'm going to let you get in your little groups and be, cognizant of a little bit of the personal space. And then you'll send your party chief down. There's going to be the 8 groups today. We may not fully have that. If we end up with a straggler, because they don't have someone yet, then please pick a sort of group that will adopt you. Please be adoptive. And 3, or we're going to have 4. So, you may pick up a 5th person or something to make this work. We may end up with less than 8 groups today. That's fine, because you're going to see on the books, you got to tell me who's in your group for the day and all that good stuff. And I will bark out there what, you're going to put on the sides of the books and all that good stuff, weather, date, North Arrow sketches, all that good stuff. So they're going to look pretty much just like those that I'm going to hand to your crew chief when you come out there. So anybody got anything major I can kind of clear up before it gets messy?
So are we picking one crew chief for like the 4 people in the group, or is it one for?
Today, since we're doing the combo, out of 4, there'll be 1 crew chief. When we break up sometime and we meet in group A, you'll just have 2 people and you'll still pick a crew chief. And then B would meet, because I'm planning on trying to hold those on different days. B would meet and they're 2 persons and you're going to have 1 crew chief. So when you're together, whether it's 2 or 4, you're always going to have 1 crew chief. And then you have to rotate crew chiefs through every time you get together. Good question. Anybody else?
Do we need calculators yet, or?
No, not really. I mean, it's helpful if you want to punch some numbers, and
This is really for like.
you're going to punch the numbers later.
Now? Yeah, okay.
Normally, the rule is you never go home until you've crunched the numbers. Because guess what? It's messed up, and if it's a 2-hour drive back, the company just lost all of money. But this is class. And there'll be times when I say bring the calculator out there because you can check it. And most of the stuff, it's actually almost you can do by hand, or if somebody has their calculator out the group. Yeah, here's where, again, there's lines on there, and if you're decent at staying with them, making it decent, I'm not. So I carry straight edges. If I'm desperate, I use the case of my calculator. I didn't use anything, right? Kind of stay with it. I think that's all I got. I know we're going to have lots of questions. It's fine. So,
What do we need today?
okay. Today you need your field book. And that's like it, except for your crew chief is going to come down and get a bucket of equipment. So yeah, I kind of left that out, didn't I? So you're going to come down and I'm going to give you the stuff. But that little bucket I had up here the other day, that's going to have your goodies in it. And you'll get to see when it's your turn. We got some really nice lockers. I got to give you the codes to open them up, get those out. But really, when you guys break up and the crew chief comes to the lab, the rest of you can go over there, get on your lot. Now, I also neglected to tell you that actually the lots have paint stripes. And it'll say, so when you see a paint stripe, you can go out about 15 or 20 feet and try to find those corners, and you'll find out how hard they are to find. And then I'll come find them, and you'll be like, whoa, that's cool. Little magnetic locator. Yeah, and so there's some fun tools, and that's one of the things I want to remind you is that they are a little painful to run sometimes, but we've got some cool gadgets in Survey World, and get to experience some of that. Tape is not one of them, but it is a useful tool. I'll tell you guys when we're out in the field, but you get something out of it. So, all right, now I'm going to close this up because I get mad if I leave it up, but hopefully, look, I leave the room here, get your phones out, whatever you got to do to figure out what groups you're in, all that good stuff. Kind of get together by that, pick the crew chief, and then start sending them down to me. Otherwise, that's all I got.
Do we need vests today or not?
Well, they'd like for you to have vests. I like for you to have vests. I bark enough things at you that I'm a little flexible on that one, as long as you're not wearing like tank tops and stuff to get hurt with. So I kind of give on that, but the school really, like we talked about this over the summer, and therefore all the faculty were like, you got to have a vest for all these classes, so they really want you to get them. Really think other classes ask for them before you get to me, but if you have it, wear it, great. If you want one, we have some extras in there that you can borrow. If you're okay, I'm okay. I'm more worried about you just not having your cell phones for the wrong reasons. So
Does it have to be the Missouri State one?
What's that?
Does it have to be the Missouri State
No.
one? Okay.
It just can't be an SIU Edwardsville one. No, I'm just kidding. Fine. You can be with everyone. I like all the colleges, man. Kevin gets on me because I wear Ole Miss and all these stuff around. It's like that. Man, it's fun. All right, if you guys want to start getting in your groups, figuring it out, I'm going to close this down. And
Who's your other partner? Awesome. Well, we you're welcome for that. So we could